Good morning, children. This is Seema Prabhakaran. We'll begin a new lesson today, lesson number 12, India after Independence. The Indian Independence Act was passed by the British Parliament on 15th July 1947. It received the royal assent on 18th July. Pakistan was to comprise of East Bengal, West Punjab, Sindh, Balochistan and North-West Frontier Province. India was to comprise of all the remaining territories which were included in the British India. India achieved independence on 15th August 1947. However, independence also brought with it a number of challenges like rehabilitation of refugees, integration of princely states, identifying a national language, reorganization of states, planning for economic development, and framing the constitution. Let's first talk about displacement and rehabilitation. With the declaration of independence, Pakistan was formed. Lakhs of Hindus residing in East Bengal, West Punjab, and Sindh were compelled to migrate to India. Similarly, a large number of Muslims living in India had to migrate to Pakistan. Consequently, migrants on both sides were rendered homeless. Rehabilitation of these people was a major challenge for the newly independent India, and this led to the formation of Rehabilitation Ministry. As an immediate solution to this problem, relief camps were established and food was distributed to the refugees. New townships and colonies were developed to resettle them, which were known as resettlement colonies. Financial aid was also provided in the form of grants and scholarships to refugee students, and long-term loans were given to small businessmen. Slowly, the situation improved, and these people were assimilated in the mainstream of Indian society. Next is integration of princely states. The princely states, which were about 562 in number, were given the liberty to either remain under the rule of their respective rulers or to join either of the two dominions, India or Pakistan. The credit for integration of these states goes to Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, who was India's first Home Minister. Through instrument of accession, he prepared the rulers of these native states to join the Indian Union. Next is identifying a national language. India is a multilingual country, so the question of identifying a national language became very difficult. Hindi was recognized as the official language, but it was not imposed on all the states as only 40% of Indians knew this language. Reorganization of states. During the freedom struggle, most of the leaders strongly felt that the reorganization of state should take place along linguistic lines. In the early years of the freedom movement, the Congress had promised the creation of states based on language after independence. But after India became free, many Congress leaders were opposed to this idea of linguistic states. This led to an uproar. In 1953, the central government agreed to form a new state of Andhra Pradesh for Telugu speaking people after intense protest in that region. Soon there was demand by other linguistic groups also for separate states. In 1956, the government set up a state reorganization committee. Based on its recommendations, separate states for Assam, Bengal, Odisha, Tamil Nadu, Kerala and Karnataka were formed. Next is framing of the constitution. Even before India attained freedom, a constituent assembly had been set up to frame the Constitution of India. After partition of India, the membership was reduced from 385 to 308 members. All major and smaller communities, including the weaker sections, had proper representation in the Constituent Assembly. Dr. Rajendra Prasad was elected its chairman, and Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was the chairman of the drafting committee. Next is planning for economic development. In the previous chapters, we studied about how the British exploited the Indian economy, ruined trade and handicraft, and drained India's wealth to England. Economically, India had become very weak. However, political freedom has no meaning without economic strength. Unity and development go hand in hand. Fruits of economic development had to be available to the masses. Realizing this, the Government of India set up the Planning Commission in 1950, which is now known as Niti Aayog, and entrusted it with the task of formulating plans for India's development. The major objective of the Planning Commission were lifting India and the Indians out of poverty and prepare a modern technical and industrial base. That's all for today's class. Thank you and have a nice day.